One other just sidebar of something I found helpful in talking to others about the authority of Scripture and the truthfulness of Scripture. You realize when people say, well, I don't know if the Bible's true, there are a number of different things they may mean by that, and we can help them by dividing out some of those questions. So sometimes when somebody says to you, is the Bible true? I don't know if the Bible's true. There are so many different translations. Have you ever heard that? I hear that commonly from people who don't know much about the Bible. They're confused by the fact there are these different translations. And so therefore they wonder, is it really true? And then we just simply need to address questions of how translation is possible. Everybody knows this. Everybody acts as if it's true. Multi-billion-dollar deals are done every day in translation. Nobody has any real doubt that translation can be done well and accurately. So then you go, okay, well, all right, I understand translation can be done, but what's being translated? How do we know that's the same thing that was written down? Okay, now that's a question of transmission. There are going to be 4 of these T's. So translation, now transmission. That's a different question. It's a good question. A very simple resource, though a little dated to use, is F.F. Bruce, The New Testament Documents, Are They Reliable? Bruce in that little book talks about the testimony of the keeping of the copies of the Old Testament and New Testament. He concentrates on the New Testament, and especially on the Gospels, but on the manuscripts that we have, and how the manuscripts that we have actually are very much what was written down. And because of the number of manuscripts we have available, we can compare them and see what that original text was in a way that you cannot do to the same degree with any other book from antiquity. So not only is the Bible not embarrassed when you get to that question, the Bible shines when you get to that question. So you have that conversation about transmission. A third thing they may mean is, okay, I understand you can translate this accurately, and that what's been transmitted is what was actually written down originally. Here's what I mean by, is the Bible true? I mean, is what was written down, let's say by Mark, is that actually what happened? Is that actually what Jesus said? So I understand you can translate it accurately, and I believe that what was translated accurately is what, Mark originally wrote down. So you've convinced me on those points. But number 3 then, is this actually a trustworthy account? So translation, transmission, trustworthy. Is it a trustworthy account? Oh, that's a good question. And then you get back to a number of the talks we've heard today and yesterday about the historical reliability of the Gospels, telltale signs. So as a preacher, I'm preaching through Luke right now, I always stop and point out little evidences of the historical reliability of the Gospels when I'm in them. There are so many, they're so frequently there, it helps our congregation to point those things out. All right, so let's say that they understand you can have translation, they think the transmission has been kept well, and you've got, okay, it seems trustworthy. Now you're down to the real million-dollar question. Is what has been well translated and accurately transmitted and accurately written down initially, is what Jesus said true? Now that's the question you want to get to. With a taxi cab driver, with a person in your family, with a person who's just making that general objection, I don't know if the Bible's really true, that's the place you want to drive them. You want to lay aside all these other excuses. So you're right there at that question. I understand, I have before me the claims of Christ. Are they true? That's just a little sidebar for you to be helpful when you talk to other people about the authority of Scripture.